Hey, hi, hello everyone. Welcome to this video. In this video, we'll be looking into simplest way to do ranking in Qlik Sense. And if you want a similar video for SQL or any other tool, do let me know in the comment section below. We'll be happy to do it. Okay. So for this video, we'll be looking into how to do ranking in Qlik Sense, and there are two ways to do ranking in Qlik Sense. One is in the front end using the chart function rank, another one is in the back end. And this video is more of focused to the back end and how to do the ranking in the back end using script. But I'll also take you through why I tend to prefer to do it in the back end as compared to the front end, because if it's already available, that is a function, right? Why I'm not using it. So we'll be discussing on that as well. Okay, for today's scenario, we have a data set of an e-commerce application. Okay, let's take for an example, the name of the e-commerce application is ABC, and the scenario is, right, we want to analyze whenever a customer gets onboarded, right? Like, let's take for example, I am a customer, and when I download ABC application, what is the product I order on my first transaction? So we want to analyze what is the product users tend to buy whenever they get onboarded into this application in their first transaction. Okay, this is our goal, and this is what we are trying to achieve. And also this analysis is very relevant to the industry, because a lot of organizations tend to do this kind of analysis. For an example, they want to understand whenever individual is onboarded, right, what are the offers he tend to use for his first transaction. They tend to analyze what was user's last transaction in the previous month, what was the last transaction excluding the current year, or like excluding the last 12 months, what was the user's last transaction, to identify what he purchased last time, and just trying to understand what went wrong due to which he left, or he is not transacting for the last 12 months. So for this kind of analysis, like, we tend to use rank functions. So so this is something about rank function. Okay, and the dataset what we have today has this columns. Okay, and the first one is invoice number. This is unique for every single invoice. Okay, and we have only, like, for every single invoice we have a single item purchase. So this is unique in that way. There is stock code, which is not useful for our today's analysis. We have invoice date, like the date basically, using which we'll be able to understand what was the item a customer bought for the first time, what is the item a customer bought recently. And we have customer ID to identify the customer, so unique customer IDs. Then there is country, that should be where the customer is located. And there is description, and description is where, like, for an example, what is the item. And then there is quantity and unit price, and basically quantity into unit price is our amount. Okay, so basically for our analysis, right, we need invoice date, we need customer ID, we need the description to identify what is the item he brought. Okay, so that's all about the scenario and the data understanding. So let's get into the next part. So in the next part, I'll be showing you how to use ranking in the front end. Okay, so yeah, in this table here you can see, right, I've loaded customer ID, I've loaded invoice date, I've added rank of invoice date. Okay, so here you can see, like, for the customer 287, right, for this customer we are able to get the ranking, right, in the front end itself. So you might be like, why we need to do it in the back end if we can get it so easily just by adding invoice date and all. The catch here is, right, we are not able to analyze what was his first transaction. For an example, if I click on one, right, that it is not happening, all the ones are getting selected, and I'm able to understand what are the products the customer bought for the first time. And this is for this scenario, the products, right. That can be different scenarios. For an example, I want to understand the offer, I want to understand different things, right, within his first transaction or within his recent transaction. Let's take for an example the last transaction. So to achieve this, right, we need to be able to select this, or, like, for an example, in the first transaction, like, we need to be able to select it basically. So currently we are not able to, so that's why we tend to go into the back end and do it. So this is how like we do it in the front end using the rank function. But to do it in the back end, right, let's get into the script. Okay, so here first of all I'm loading the data set. Okay, here I'm taking care of the timestamp formatting, and, like, I'm also creating a month column for our invoice date. And then here is the main part where the ranking take place. Okay, so to do the ranking, right, there are two important things. There is an order by and there is a peak function. And order by is similar to your sorting, and if you're familiar with SQL, or like you have used on Qlik Sense, like it you would be familiar, it would be used to like sort the data set, entire data set based upon the column whichever you mention, and also based upon the sequence, that is like first would be the customer ID, then would be the invoice ID. Okay, and then there is a Qlik function, like we'll be looking into how Qlik function works, as well as while we are understanding how the script is working. Okay, to understand the script, how it is working, right? So let's get into the Excel, right? I have created a small data set here, which will make it easier for me to help you understand the status, how things are working in the script. Okay, let me copy this and paste it here. So this was our data set, and after transforming this is how it will look like. I'll be doing changes now. So first of all, we need to do order by on customer ID and invoice date. So for an example, first preference needs to be given on customer ID, so all the transaction done by customer ID 1 should come first in the table. Also we need to make sure the date is in ascending order for customer ID 1, so it is. And then we need to take this transaction for customer 2. Okay, so basically this is how your data set will look after order by is completed on customer ID and the invoice date. Okay, now let's look into how Qlik function works. Okay, sorry, customer ID. Okay, so how would Qlik function work is, right, so Qlik function would look into the last loaded record. So for an example, for the first record, right, when it will look into the previous record, so there was nothing loaded, so it will have null here. Okay, okay, I'm unable to remove this from here now. Okay, let me write simply null here. Okay, and now on when it comes to the second record, right, now it will check here what is the value here on the previous record. So that is 1, right? So it will write here 1, and it will be 1 here again, it will be 1 here again, and it will be 2 here. So this is how the Qlik function will look. Qlik function is more complex. Like for an example, it also takes the second parameters. Like for an example, you can add -1 to check the previous value, and there is a 0, and then there is a lot of things for an example to do with the Qlik function. For our current use case, right, you just need to understand Qlik with no second parameter works this way. For an example, it checks for the previously loaded record and make sure it is shown in front of the current loaded record. Okay, now things would be fairly easy. So if you see here, right, what I'm checking is if customer ID is equal to previously loaded customer ID. Okay, then in that case, do a sum of the previous rank plus 1 in previous rank plus 1, or directly add it as 1. Okay, so let me write the rank here. Okay, so in this case, customer ID and the previous customer ID, that is peak of customer ID, is not equal to it is not equal, right? So in this case, what will happen is we'll exclude this part of range sum, and we'll come here and we'll flag it as 1. Okay, yeah. Now let's go to the second record. Here 1 is equal to 1, right? So what will happen, we'll go into the true part of the if condition, if function, and here when you see this, right, range sum, so like we'll do the previous rank plus 1. Okay, previous rank, that is 1, plus 1, that is 2, and again here 1 is equal to 1, that is the previous record 1 is equal to the previous record 1. So here the value would be previous rank, that is 2 plus 1, that is 3. Okay, I hope till now it is making sense to you guys. And now when we check here, right, the customer ID is 2 and the previous customer ID is 1, that is peak of customer ID is 1, right? This is not equal to this, so in this case again we'll write a 1 here. And now here when we check that, right, 2 is equal to 2, that is the previous customer ID, and peak of 2 is 2, so here we'll have 2. So this is how we'll get a ranking. I hope this was clear, and if it was not, right, so I'll add a timestamp when I started understanding this concept of ranking with order by and peak, and you can click on the timestamp and you can revisit the concept. Okay, let's moving ahead. So this is how you will get your rank function, rank field, sorry, rank column. Now once this is created, right, let's get into the front end side. So, and see how easy it would be to analyze things. So yeah, so basically here what I've done is I've added a description, that is the name of the items, and here you will see the customer IDs, distinct customer IDs. For an example, lunch bag was brought by 333 customers, okay, and doormat was brought by 277 customers. This is not a count of invoice ID, this is customer ID, so these are unique customers brought product. Okay, now it's time to use our ranking. So for an example, if I want to understand, right, what is the product what customers tends to buy on the first order mostly, right, that is the doormat, thread doormat, and this is brought by 123 customers when they transacted for the first time in our ABC application. And second product is a lunch bag. Okay, also we could analyze this ways. For an example, what is the product customer tends to buy in their first 3 transactions. Mostly they tend to buy in the first 3 transactions, and when we look at in this way, right, in the first 3 transactions, so it's still the doormat, and there is lunch bag, and etc. So I hope it's making sense, right? And as you go more like you scroll down, there are a lot of, for an example, there are a lot of values. Yep. Okay, I hope this is clear till now for you guys. Also, we can do different type of ranking here. For an example, if I want to look for a specific month, right, within a specific month, what was the first transaction, right, what I can do is simply I can copy this here, I can add this here, invoice month, and what I'll do is I'll copy this part, I'll write an add, I'll copy, now in this way, right, now what we'll be understanding is what was the product, what are the products brought for the first time in any specific month. Okay. Also a quick tip, shortcut tip. So if you want to drag a filter pane, right, from directly from this column, click on shift, okay, hold your shift key, and then hold the shift key and drag the invoice month here, and it will make sure it is a filter pane. Okay, I'll click on December 2021, and if I select this right one, so now we'll be able to understand what was brought for the first time. It's again the doormat as per this, and in April, if you see, now the analysis is changing. For this is the first product bought on the month of April is lunch bag. So this kind of analysis what you can do with the order by and the peak function and the ranking. If you found this video useful, do hit on the like button, and for more data related content, Qlik Sense, SQL, or any other data tool, make sure you subscribe for more interesting scenario based videos like this. Until next time, bye.